Theophilus Ruff, thank you for joining me 7 minutes ago. And I'd like to encourage everyone who's watching to just, give your internet a test. Put it to the test. They say seeing is believing, tasting is the truth. So get a taste of the Sunrise Live. Join me with my guest live on air. And the way to do this is, of course, to like my page on Facebook. It is TV3 Space Sunrise. And once you like it, it allows you to post your questions, thoughts, comments to me, to my guest, to anyone at all in the whole wide world. The Facebook Insights tells me that over 2 million people see posts that are on the TV3 Sunrise page. And Kenneth Cole, oh, nice name, Kenneth Cole. You say good morning and your greetings to Isabella of Kumasi girls, and to final year students of Jabin SHS. Have a nice day. Well, thank you very much. Nice day. I like that. Now, how nice is your day when early in the morning you see a lot of polythene bags, waste littering the environment everywhere you look? Sometimes you don't even have to limit this experience to urban environments, to our cities and towns. You drive outside and you see this terrible thing, plastic everywhere, waste, rubbish. This morning we are looking at the rubber devil. I'm not talking about natural rubber, because natural rubber is biodegradable. It's not as bad for the environment as plastic rubber, what we call plastic rubber bags. And I've got one of the usual suspects in the studio with me. His name is Mr. Festus Adu, and he comes to us from Standard Water. Now, you might not know this, but aside of the eyesore that improperly disposed plastic waste creates, it also is very, very harmful to our health and to our environment. How does it harm your health? Well, it is one of the main causes of floods, for example. It seems it also depletes the soil of nutrients, so that makes it difficult for plants that are useful to grow. And it has severe implications on other living things, wildlife, for example. It's really painful to see that. It's really a pleasure to see some of the possible solutions. But what really can we do? The solutions offered by our clip there do not include not choosing to use plastics for other forms of packaging than perhaps to carry our shopping away in. With me in the studio is Festus. Festus is from Standard Water, one of the usual suspects because of pure water bags and the way they've come to add to our environmental picture. You see them everywhere. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise.
Good morning, Eric.
How did you feel, looking at that? I'm sure that when you purify your water and you put it in those clean plastic bags, you don't think about it in those ways, do you?
We do.
You do?
Very well.
Okay, let me ask you this question. What do you think is the biggest problem? Is it what we call take away the black rubber bags? Is it the pure water sachet, the empty ones? Is it all the other types of plastic packaging? Or is it something else that's made of plastic that you think poses the biggest hazard to our environment?
Thank you, Eric. It was an intimidating story, but there's hope. Plastic generally can be grouped into two. We have several types, but we can generally group them into two. We have the foam, which we can generally say the soft, and then we have the hard ones. The hard ones are the most difficult ones to deal with. We have the PVC plastics, we have the PET plastics, we have the several plastics that we have that can create problem for us because they are very difficult to recycle.
To recycle?
Yes.
Even if we had a recycling plant, all plastics are not the same, you're saying?
Exactly.
And the most difficult is the hard plastic.
The hard plastic.
The harder it is, the more difficult it is to recycle.
Exactly, because in Ghana now we do not have any single plant that recycles a hard plastic.
But we love to use plastic.
Yes, but we have several recycle plants in Ghana recycling the soft ones. And at the moment, Accra alone can recycle close to 55 metric tons of plastic waste.
So how do you explain then the ubiquitous presence of plastic bags, soft plastic, in our environment? If we have the recycling plants and if we can recycle as many as 55 tons a day, why is there so much soft plastic waste in our environment?
Eric, we are in a culture of throw away.
Take away and throw away?
Yes, we just take away and throw away. At the moment, as I said, Accra alone is generating over 200 metric tons of plastic waste, soft ones, in Accra. And the plastic plants recyclers in Accra can recycle about 55 metric tons. But you will not imagine that several occasions some of them shut down because they do not even have the raw material. And if we are recycling 55 metric tons, as of now, the average price per kilo of plastic waste is about 0.35. If you multiply that one by 55 metric tons, we are talking of the range of about 19,000 Ghana cedi a day. That is what people are pocketing each day for selling plastic waste that they have collected to the recyclers. In a month, we will be talking about close to 6 million Ghana cedi. And in a year, we are talking about 70 million Ghana cedi that people are currently enjoying from collecting plastic waste and selling them to the recyclers. But unfortunately, because we've not been educated enough, because education has not gone on, because we've not promoted it, people are not aware, and we still find them in our gutters, whilst some of the recyclers even close down because they do not even have the plastic waste to recycle for us.
What are some of the solutions that your industry, for example, imagines could help to reverse the situation completely?
Way back in 2001, we foresaw this. So the private sector, of course, the polluter, we came together and formed an association. We got governmental support. We established the National Plastic Waste Management Task Force. If you see any sachet water car going out now, as soon as you load, you pay 25 Ghana cedi per truck per month. And this is to support people in picking plastic waste in town so we can feed the recyclers to be able to recycle plastic waste for us. There are several research that has gone on as far back as 2005, even at the National Theatre, when the task force was launched. Somebody came out using plastic waste to do roofing sheets. And of course it's not been supported to date. It has not seen the light of day. Else we would have been using plastic waste as roofing sheet. Maybe at the end of this interview, you may no more call it plastic waste. You may have to call it used rubber, because it is still useful when we vigorously pursue it.
I always wonder about this distinction between plastic and rubber, but I want to share some of our viewers' thoughts with you. Elam William Rapa writes that, Eric, we cannot change this problem unless we change our attitudes and become environmentally friendly. And he says, I want to say good morning to his darling Laurentia Anochua inside Kumasi or Sekrom. A man whose name is written in Chinese, so I don't know what to call him, says, Eric, I think the big picture out there has got to do with waste management, which we as a nation must address. And he also thinks that every house should have at least 3 bins so that our waste products can be sorted out before being carried out. As for Hakim Ibrahim Asamoah, he thinks that God should bless Ghana, that God is on our side, and that he thinks that God thinks about Ghanaians more than any other country in this world, because looking at the dirty environment we are in, we should have died a long time ago. What are your thoughts on sorting our waste before having it carried away? On the fact that if it wasn't for God, we should have died from all of this, and about our attitudes in general.
God, of course, is a Ghanaian.
God is a Ghanaian.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a pure water producer.
No. Yes, I think that we can do better. If we are able to segregate the plastic waste from other waste, it's a sure way. However, there should be governmental support to the private sector to invest in plastic waste recycling, because recycling takes a huge volume of energy. And of course, we are in energy crisis.
I was hoping you will get there. It takes a lot of electricity, doesn't it?
If you go to a recycler, he switches on his extruder. It takes between 2 and 3 hours just to heat his machine before he can start extrusion. And that consumes a lot. That would be 1 extruder or 2 extruders. The energy to consume might be enough for TV3 for a day. And that's what they need. And there's no subsidy on electricity bill in Ghana for such people. So it takes only bold decision for some people to invest because it's difficult to make it.
What do you think of the other proposals? For example, using less plastic was one proposal, sorting it was a third before you have it thrown away, finding different ways to recycle or reuse was a third. Which do you think is the most viable?
Sorting is the most viable because at the moment it might be difficult going into the cloth and that of the paper because they are expensive and most Ghanaians cannot afford. In 2010 February, India did something. One state was able to use plastic waste to construct a road, 138-kilometer road using plastic waste and bitumen. And they are just monitoring for 5 years to see how it will fail, and then they go ahead. You go to China now, most of the farms are using plastic waste to generate power for farming. So the research must go into it. There are so many things we can use plastic waste for. As I said, maybe we may have to call it used rubber because they can be reused. They are not just waste. They can generate income for us too.
What would it take for us to just clean up our environment as we are considering ways to possibly recycle or reuse this material? What would it take in terms of time and money cost to just gather everything and store it somewhere?
2 things, just education and commitment. Once people are educated and they are very much aware of the hazards of just throwing away anything, not just even plastics, and therefore they decide to collect them. If you decide to put your plastic in your packet in town and send it home and put it in your dustbin because you are aware that when you throw it away, it can cause flood, it can harm aquatic life, it can harm the environment, and you begin to collect them, and there's commitment by government to promote recycling because they need to be supported.
I wonder where this attitude comes from. You know, it's like, I don't care, or I can't even make a change. Hakim Ibrahim Asamoah, you say you are my friend from KNUST. That's nice. Thank you very much. And thank you for the compliment. Colin Sopoko, you want to say something nice to your mom, Mama Ta to Ofurikrom, from her son. So Mama Ta, if you're watching from Ofurikrom, I'd like you to know that Colin Sopoko sent you some love this morning. Kenneth Colwell, I've read your message already. Joseph Bayata, you say, greetings from our good Lord. Ghanaians, we're such a religious people. Do you think religion has anything to do with this at all, with the way we say, okay, you know, leave it to God, you know, famanyami, and then we just throw the rubbish away?
I do not think we can blame God. I don't think we can blame God because being religious does not mean that you have to stop behaving well.
Okay, we say Anyashi, I mean, it's a small thing.
You see, Ghana, we have several laws in our statutory books. All we need is enforcement, and we fail to enforce laws. Generally, human beings are lazy until some force are applied. It's difficult for people to behave the way they must behave. So it is not just people do not want to obey. If we enforce the laws, people will obey.
I see that you've done quite a bit of background research and reading into this phenomenon. Have you come across an example anywhere in the world where the situation was as bad as or even worse than ours, and in which the country, the people were able to just stop it, reverse it, and actually turn it into something good?
You might be a traveler. If you've gone to Europe, you will never see any plastic waste.
But did they have a plastic problem at some time in their history?
Yeah, they were having. And now when you go there, because their problem is even the hard ones. And the hard ones take millions of years to decompose because they are not degradable. Maybe some million years to come, the plastic chair you sat on, the plastic bottle you drank water from, if archaeologists are to dig, they will still find the plastic here. And that is what they have there, they don't have even the soft ones because they don't mostly use the sachet water there. You cannot see sachet water in Europe. You can't see it in UK. You can't see it in US. You can't see it in Germany. They are using the hard ones, but they are able to control it. Nobody throws it outside. They have collection bins purposely for plastics. They recycle them and they use them well.
Earlier on in our conversation, you mentioned several figures. You said we generate 200 metric tons of waste, soft plastic waste a day in Accra alone.
Exactly.
200 metric tons.
Yes.
We have a capacity for recycling 55 metric tons. Now, on a daily basis, you told me that at 0.35 per kilo, this means that everyone put together that's in this business, are making 19,000 Ghanaian cedis just picking the waste plastic and delivering it to the recycling plants.
Right.
In a year, that's 6 million. Sorry, in a month, that's 6 million. In a year, that's 70 million. This looks like a really good deal.
It's a good deal.
It's a good deal.
Exactly.
So, what is the problem with the education? Why don't the manufacturers of plastic just take it upon themselves to educate people that this is a good business and waste management begins at home, and you can manage your waste and turn it into profit? Now, surely, if people say, well, if I just collected all the plastic that I use, I could perhaps pay for my utilities with it, or perhaps even more. Now, surely that should motivate people.
Yes, Eric, it's just with time, because in 2001, the recycling capacity was just about 6 tons. So if 13 years down the line, we are recycling 55, it means we've come this far.
Other than the challenge of energy and the supply of raw material, is there any other stumbling block in the path of anyone who wants to set up a recycling plant? So one of our viewers thinks that government should put these plants, recycling machines, everywhere to reduce the effect of plastic in our environment as waste.
I do not think so. In Ghana, mostly government investment do not suffice. I think that when private sector is supported, they will have the capacity enough to be able to recycle. It's just because the cost of production in Ghana generally are high, and people will want to always invest in where they can get their returns because interest rates are high. So if people are supported, mostly the energy, as at now, most of the companies are not even recycling because you go there and they are light off. To use a generator to recycle, you can't make it. So when the lights are off, you have to wait till the light comes before you can continue.
Jonathan Moore posts and says, good morning to all the teachers of Toasis Senior High School. Do you think that we do enough to teach our children on the impact on the environment of plastic and what they can do alternatively as a choice in a better direction?
I think we are not doing enough. We are not doing enough because if you go to the educational curricula, it's hardly will you see something about plastics. I'm not sure we are teaching our kids to be able to be responsible in taking care of plastic waste.
Where does the raw material for our plastic industry come from? If we are not recycling it, where do we get it from? I know plastic comes from petroleum.
Yes.
But where do we get our plastic pellets and the source raw material from? The semi-processed?
Mostly in Ghana, it comes from Saudi Arabia, Dubai, and Brazil, mostly. And mostly is the foreign companies who are able to import. Sadly to say, Ghanaians are unable to import those raw materials. It's a kind of cartel business. It's difficult for a Ghanaian to access it. And if even you import one to the next time, the price changes every day because it's related to petroleum, and it's difficult for Ghanaians to import.
Very interesting.
So most of the plastic companies in Ghana now are being run by expatriates.
Very, very interesting. Do you think it's something that you would call the rubber devil or the plastic devil?
I'll not call it a devil because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We can be bold and tackle it. We can solve it. As I said, we can just call it used plastics because it's also a raw material for another purpose. As I said, people have started using it to generate power. Others have started using it to construct roads,
to build roofs,
and others. So if we sit down, we have raw material that we are not growing. We are not investing any insecticide like cocoa, all you need to do is to keep it well. Don't throw it in the gutter. Pick it, send it to a recycler. He buys it and pay you. And I don't think we can call that one as a devil.
It's quite good pocket money, huh?
Exactly.
If anyone didn't mind sorting through rubbish, I don't know how many of our children, would say, well, we want to do better than Zoomla and want to put on those gloves and boots and overalls and go and sort through people's rubbish and pick out the plastic waste. Is this something that you think might actually become attractive in Ghana?
In my area, people do it. You see people always picking plastics because they are bought.
And we look down on them.
Exactly.
And they make together 70 million a year. 6 million a month.
That's at the moment.
20,000 a day. And that's just at a quarter of the capacity that the recycling plants need.
Exactly. So they can quadruple it soonest.
Interesting. Well, just before you go, you said that it takes a lot of energy
yes.
to run a recycling plant. And at the same time, there are places in the world where plastic is being used to generate energy.
Yes.
Can we do that in Ghana? Take our plastic, use it to generate the energy that will run the recycling plant?
I did say we need commitment and research into it. Ghana can do it. It's possible.
Thank you very much. Festus Edo comes to us from Standard Water. I wonder what you think. It's been a very interesting conversation. I've learned some new things. I hope you have too. Well, for one thing, I've learned that one-man road contractor work is not the only way to make money. I used to do that. Or you could fetch water, or you could run errands, or nowadays you could just find used polythene bags, soft plastic, put it all together, sell it, and if you sell enough, well, you could be a millionaire by the end of the year. Who knows?